being chosen doesn't mean being superior, right? I think this is one of the great misnomers of sort of history, is that when the Jews say that they're a chosen people, what they mean is that they're better than everyone else. And it's like, no, in the same way that if I choose my oldest child to take out the trash, that doesn't mean that my oldest child is better. It means I need my oldest child to take out the trash. Like, that's not the same thing.
Are Jews the chosen people? We have heard that so many times. People say that the Jewish people are the chosen people. Who declared that? Who said that we are the chosen people? Is there a real difference between Judaism and other religions? What is the difference between Judaism and other religions? And what is it about the Jewish people, why people seem to think that they are the chosen people? Well, I want to share with you some thoughts that can help you understand what does it mean to be chosen, and where did that all come from? When we go back into history, the beginning of Judaism began 3,336 years ago at Mount Sinai, when there is the revelation. During this revelation, there were 3 million eyewitnesses who saw the revelation, who saw God descend on Mount Sinai and presented us the 10 Commandments. It was the only time that mankind heard God's voice. It was supernatural and miraculous event, but 3 million people were eyewitnesses, and that was the beginning of Judaism. It was at that time that God told the Jewish people that if you accept me as your God, I will accept you as a nation. It became a marriage between God and mankind. The marriage was a pact that we both had with each other, that we will believe in only one God, the God in heaven, the creator of all beings. And God will bestow upon us a mission to be able to bring to the world the gift of the Bible, of the 10 Commandments, and all the precepts that come afterwards. For the Jewish people, there are 613 commandments. For the rest of the world, there are 7, which is known as the 7 general laws, otherwise known as the 7 Noahide laws, that if the rest of the world were to adhere to these 7 Noahide laws, then the world would be a much stable world. I want to share with you a conversation with Mr. Ben Shapiro, a well-known commentator who grew up traditionally Orthodox Jewish, but does not hold back, is able to have conversations, and is able to help us think in the box and out of the box. Please listen to a conversation of Mr. Ben Shapiro with an evangelical minister.
Annoying and
exactly.
just berating you or something like that.
But I mean, even if you want to be annoying about it, that's fine. Like, you care enough about my soul that you want me to be saved. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's much appreciated, and we'll find out in the overtime period who is right and who is wrong. But
why don't you? Because we talked about earlier about the only reason you should believe something is because it's true.
Right.
You presumably believe I believe falsehoods and you believe true things. So why shouldn't you encourage me to abandon some of my beliefs and adopt some of yours?
Right. So doctrinally, what Judaism believes is that the commandments of Israel were only given to Israel.
Okay.
Meaning that the 7 Noahide commandments that I referred to earlier, those are incumbent on all of humanity because they're given to Noah, right before the Jews actually arise as an independent family and people. Mm-hmm. And so those apply to everyone. So if you're not a member of the Judaic tribe, then those rules don't apply to you. So the 613 commandments that apply to me are boiled down to 7 for you. Mm-hmm. And so what that means is that if you want to join in to do those commandments, like, that's not required of you. Like, sure, you welcome if you want, but certainly Judaism doesn't feel the necessity to force
to evangelize and to bring people
because
into
Judaism doesn't actually suggest being chosen doesn't mean being superior, right? I think this is one of the great misnomers of sort of history is that when the Jews say that they're a chosen people, what they mean is that they're better than everyone else. And it's like, no, in the same way that if I choose my oldest child to take out the trash, that doesn't mean that my oldest child is better. It means I need my oldest child to take out the trash. Like, that's not the same thing.
Okay.
And so the sort of idea that Jews are, in their own minds, superior to everybody else because it is incumbent on them to do that, that's obviously not how Jews think, especially because there are a bunch of commandments that are incumbent on men in Judaism that are not incumbent on women in Judaism. Does Judaism then believe that women are of lesser value than men? I mean,
but apart from little laws, there must be like metaphysical things that you hold as true that you would like me to believe. Or at least you would like me. I don't mean to be confrontational, but you would clearly would want Christians to realize that Christ was not the Messiah, that he didn't write. Maybe you don't want that, or maybe it doesn't bother you. You don't care one way or the other.
Right. So the way.
But like when I look at Mormons, you know, I'm like, look, I love you, and this isn't a criticism on you directly, but Joseph Smith was not a prophet. My Muslim friend, I love you, but like Muhammad was a liar or a lunatic. Maybe he was possessed, but he wasn't a prophet.
Right. So
I have to say that in love, and so I would wonder. And maybe it's just that you have a public platform, and so you don't want to get into that to offend people unnecessarily. But
it really isn't that. I mean, the Jewish doctrine is that as long as you believe in God, as long as the actual seven commandments to non-Jews are believe in God. No eating the flesh of living animals, actually one of them. You have to establish courts of law, no murder, no sexual sins, no idolatry, and I believe no stealing. It's like seven of the 10, of the big 10, right? Like, we don't actually believe that non-Jews are even bound by the 10 commandments, right? They're bound by the 7 commandments in Judaism.
Hey.
So it like boils even further down. So how you believe in God is of little consequence to me, so long as you do believe in the monotheistic God.
What if I believe in a God that lives on top of a mountain and whose name is Jeffrey?
So if he doesn't,
and I say that's God,
if he doesn't fulfill the fundamental properties of God, then that doesn't count.
Which would be what?
So the fundamental properties of God would be that he's in charge of the universe, creator of the universe, master of the divine law, all powerful, all knowing, all loving would probably be in that category. There's debate in sort of Jewish circles as to whether you have to believe that God gave the commandments at Sinai, whether that's a debate between a couple of major rabbis, Maimonides included, as to whether if you discover those 7 laws on your own, but you don't believe that they were given at Sinai, does that count? Right? So there is some doctrinal debate there, but in general, the basic idea that there is only one path to God in the same way that there is in Christianity.
I see.
That doesn't exist in the same way.
What about like a Mormon who believed that God was once a man like we are? Like, would you go, okay, I'm not saying you've given much thought about this, but would that be a place where you'd be like, no, I need to evangelize you, or not that word, but I need you to come to believe in God differently than you currently do?
So the answer to me is, I'm going to go with the I don't know answer. like pretty much everything.
You both get
Judaism,
3.
There's like major debate on all of these things. There's a debate for a long time in Judaism over whether, say, Trinitarianism is monotheism or if it's not monotheism. Right? Like that's like that was a serious debate in Judaism. It's come down on the side of it's monotheism.
Okay.
So I wouldn't know the answer as far as, Mormon doctrine specifically. Let's put it this way. If you're talking about like paganism, Judaism would have a problem with paganism. So let's say that you believed that there were 100 gods and they all ruled over different aspects of humanity. Then Judaism would say that does not fulfill the 7.
And if you were in dialogue with somebody like this, would you feel obligated to try to help divest them of that error so that they could be saved?
Sure. I mean,
Cool.
So then I would feel obligated to actually, in the same way that if somebody believed that adultery was morally acceptable, I would feel the obligation to say, well, no, adultery is not morally acceptable, and it's better for you to not believe that.
Hey,